It's a little bit windy, so if I sound like I'm yelling, you know why. I can't hear myself. I'm on a beach. I'm actually camped on a beach, which is totally cool. And in a future video, I'm going to talk about boondocking here. But this is only part 2 of my booster review. Now in the last video, and I always encourage people to watch part 1 before they go to part 2, I talked about the HiBoost cell phone booster. I bought this a short time ago, and it's meant specifically for an RV. And what I did in the last video is I sort of put it through, I set it up, and I did a couple of tests based on the instructions. So I didn't tweak anything. It was what I interpreted, at least, as to how to set it up. And I tried a couple of locations just to see if I could get a little bit more accuracy to my review. Now, since then, I've got a fantastic response from all my viewers who have suggested many ways of tweaking it. And so I'm going to try these out this time, as well as a few ideas of my own. Now, for the first thing, and the first suggestion was try to find a location where there weren't a lot of trees and where you could actually see the cell tower. Well, there's no trees here, and I see communication towers all across the horizon here. I just have to find out which is the one from my provider. So that'll give me another idea of how well the signal works. But before I start doing the tweaking, I better do the setup. So I'm going to set up the way things were where I left off before. Same antenna, same location, just a different location as to where I am. Location inside the camper is what I meant. So let's get started. Now, one of my viewers asked, why am I using a metal pole for the antenna and not a plastic one? Well, that's pretty simple. Wind. Whoa. It's a lot nicer in here than it is outside. Okay, I think I've got everything the way I left off the last video. Here's the booster, the indoor antenna, and my cell phone. And I just got to grab the app that I had before. And there it is. So the first thing I have to do is get a benchmark. What is the signal right now? And I see it keeps changing. 99, 94, 92. It keeps going back and forth because it's windy, it's probably going to rain, there's clouds. But let's say 95 is reasonably close. That's what we'll use for the benchmark for without the booster. So now, grab the cord and plug it in. Now, I did find out last time that for the best signal, I've got to put the cell phone right on the antenna. Something like that. And what do I get for a signal? I think I see 60, but it changes quickly. Okay, it's staying at 60. Yes, so that's my benchmark. It goes from 95 to 60, which I believe is 35 decibels gain, which is pretty good. Now, what I didn't do last time is show you a speed test. So let's just start one more time. I'm going to unplug it, go back to make sure the signal is the same as the way it was. Now it's in the 90s. It's saying 98 now, which is close enough to 95, 91. So yeah, 95, 95. There, I got it. Okay, go to speed and go to start. You know, when I got here, it was nice and sunny. Now it looks like it's gonna rain. Hey, that's what it's like when you're traveling. Okay, we've got the results. And there they are. And it says, download 21.5 megabytes, upload 21.0 megabytes. Okay, now that is without the booster. So, number 2, we plug in the booster and we give it a few seconds. And remember, I got to put it right on the antenna. Oh, here comes the sheriff. Sheriff's looking out for me. Okay, we've got the speed test. Wow, big difference. Download 83.4, upload 52.9 megabytes per second. So it's giving me a big gain in speed. That's amazing. Now I still have to improve on this. That's the whole goal of this second video. So I'm going to try all the tweaks and suggestions that my viewers gave me and see if I can make it even better. Now the first suggestion was that I could probably improve my performance if I have the booster a little farther away from the indoor antenna. So right now I have a signal of, well, it's just changing just by talking, but it looks like it's about minus 69. Here is the booster, and let's just put her farther away. There. Yeah, it seems pretty close to the same. And let's just take the booster and put it right by the antenna. And it's still the same. So, no, don't have any proof of that one. But the second one's the fun one, because somebody suggested that the indoor antenna needs a ground plane and that I'd get better reception. And they suggested a metal plate. Well, guess what? I have a metal plate. I call it my pancake skillet. So let's try this one. Again, I've got 64. Now I can't move the antenna or that's going to mess up this. 70. Let me just wait till it's 69 again. Go back to 69. Okay, there we go. 69 and 68. Okay. It increased at 67. It increased it by 1 or 2 decibels. So a tiny little bit of a gain, but you know, if you're really fussy, yeah, stick it on your pancake skillet and you'll get maybe 2 or 3 decibels more. Now, one thing that I insisted in this review is when I first spent the money on the booster, I was not under any circumstances going to spend more money. I wasn't going to throw money at the problem and see if it would go away. No, I bought it as a kit, so whatever I purchased should be enough to make it work with my cell phone. It makes sense. Nobody likes to have to spend more, especially when I'm only reviewing, and especially if I may return it. So when the question came up about antennas, that could have been a problem, but it wasn't for me. The question was, what if you're not getting enough gain because you're only using the Omni directional antenna that came with the kit? What if you used a unidirectional antenna instead? And I already knew that one. I knew it was coming, but the good thing is I already had a system in place before this, and it did have a unidirectional antenna. This is the one from the HiBoost. It's worked well for me. I know it's reliable, and why not give it a try? I'll put this up the pole, and then I'll put this up the pole, and we'll see if there's any difference.
Since I'd already set up the omnidirectional antenna, I will start the test with it. I first check out what the gain is without the booster plugged in, and it's about minus 99 decibels. As the signal keeps changing, I do another speed test. A download speed of 101.6 megabytes per second is fantastic, as is an upload speed of 35.1 megabytes per second. Upon powering up the booster, the gain had increased from -99 to 69, which is about 30 decibels. But when I initiated the speed test, something seemed a little unusual. While the upload speed had increased to 56.1 megabytes per second, the download speed had actually dropped to only 1.8 megabytes per second. Can this be right? I did this test several times to confirm the results were accurate. On the left is the unboosted signal, and on the right is the boosted signal through the omnidirectional antenna. Although the upload improved by 20 megabytes per second, the download was actually reduced by 99.8 decibels per second. I was better off just not using the booster at all. But the test wasn't over, as I still wanted to try the unidirectional antenna. I aimed it at the nearest cell tower. The gain test showed that the signal had increased by 35 decibels, which was a little better than the other antenna. But all eyes and money were on the results of the new speed test. I felt a little relieved when the numbers appeared. Although I still lost 27.1 megabytes per second, the download speed was at least acceptable. As for the upload speed, I did gain 19.4 megabytes per second. The unidirectional antenna did perform better, but why did I lose any signal at all? Isn't the booster supposed to boost?
Now, there is one suggestion that I got from several viewers that has me a little concerned, because they're sort of thinking that maybe the problem isn't the booster, maybe the problem is my trailer, because it's a fiberglass trailer. And most booster systems are designed for like RVs and trucks and cars that have metal roofs, because even most RVs have aluminum cladding on the top. Because I have a fiberglass camper, I don't have that metal protection. And so there could be talkback or oscillation or feedback, whatever you want to call it, between the outside antenna and the inside. Now, this is a big concern for me, because no, I'm not going to buy another camper just to use the booster. It's the other way around. Now, I'm not going to be able to test this out with another camper, and I am not going to be putting a big sheet of metal on my roof. But there is one thing I can do to compare them, and that's this. So here's the experiment. If there are any issues with using a fiberglass camper because it doesn't have a shielded roof, there's no metal on it, why not experiment with the Jeep? There's two benefits here. First of all, the Jeep has a metal roof, so it should give less crosstalk between the indoor and the outdoor antenna. But also, I am now farther away from the outdoor antenna. It's almost 30 feet away, not just 12, which is what I had before. So this should give me some idea if this is the best possibility for a good signal. Now, I've actually got two cameras. I've got one here that's going, because you probably can't see that, but, and I'll just go like this, you should be able to see that with the other camera. So first of all, I have to establish what the signal is right now without the booster, and looks like -93, -90, yeah, it's 88. It's going back and forth. I've had that a lot, but let's say it's minus 90. That seems reasonable. Now I'm going to plug in the booster. Give it a few minutes. The booster's right here. Oh yeah, and I have to put it right next to the antenna to get the absolute maximum. Okay, now I'll just check there. It says minus 60, minus 59, and I'll just show you there. That seems to be a pretty good gain. Okay, now I have to turn it off again because the speed test is the far more important of the two. And to get a speed test, I have to first get the speed test without the booster. So I'm gonna line that up, hit start. There we go. It's very hot, it's very humid. I'm sweating my brains out. It's a very humid beach. Okay, here it goes. Now I'm only trying this with the unidirectional antenna. The omnidirectional antenna, I just really have my doubts that it's going to be any better. Okay, there's the test results, and it's saying the download speed is 65.3 megabytes per second, and the upload is 7.6 megabytes per second. And that's without a booster. So now we can try it with the booster, and I'm just going to give that a few seconds. Minus 60, minus 61, everything's the same. Now I can hit speed. Wow, major increase. The download speed is 100.1 megabytes per second, and the upload speed is 55.2 megabytes per second. That's a really good signal. So it does look like there may be some issues, at least, with using a fiberglass trailer, but I'm not done yet. Well, I'm certainly glad I have a lot of good viewers who want to help me out, because I wouldn't have even known it was a problem. But when I checked, I did find out there is a problem between crosstalk or oscillation or whatever you want to call it, between the outside and the inside antennas when you have a very small fiberglass trailer. And that's all I can really test on. Certainly it did improve when I tried things out in the Jeep, but I'm not giving up on the fiberglass trailer. What I did find, which was at least a bonus, is that it had no effect on the upload speed. It was only the download speed that seemed to be affected by this crosstalk. So, what do? Well, I guess if I want to watch a video or watch a movie or something like that, I can always go to the Jeep, but in this particular location, I found all I had to do was disconnect the booster, not use it at all, and I had the best download speed. So there's probably some more experiments in different locations, but if you're getting a booster and you have a fiberglass camper, you might want to give it a little bit of research. Now, a couple of my viewers suggested that I may be losing signal the way I have this outdoor cable, because I've got it in a bundle. It was just way too long, and this is similar to having it in a coil. Will uncoiling this cable improve my signal? Let's find out. Now, I'm sure this probably does work in some circumstances, but for this one, it didn't have any effect. Thanks for the suggestion, though. Now, I already noted that the best signal is when the indoor antenna is right next to the cell phone. However, let's do a test in the Jeep and see if it's the same thing, because I have a sheet of metal in between the outdoor antenna and the indoor. So right now, that is the signal when the indoor antenna is right next to the cell phone. Now I'm going to pull it back slowly. Hopefully you can still see that signal. And now it's, I'd say, about 6 feet away, 5 or 6 feet away. Was there a decrease?
And yes, there was. The best signal is still dependent on the cell phone being right beside the indoor antenna.
Then that means the same problem I had inside my camper is also the same in the Jeep. But as far as the other little tweaks that were suggested, some things improved a little bit, but not a lot. There was not a eureka moment. But one thing I think the only thing I can say for sure is the big variation with any cell phone booster is location, location, location. Every time I switched, everything changed. So because I'm traveling, I'm going to expect every place I go, it's going to be slightly different. Hopefully I'll get a better signal, and that's all I'm hoping for. Now, there were some other suggestions which I didn't try. One was to reduce the length of the cable. Well, the cable is only 30 feet long, and I still need 20 feet. So would cutting 10 feet off the cable really improve the performance? I don't think so. If it was a 100-foot cable and I only needed 5 feet, maybe, but that's just not enough to warrant the expense and the hassle. So no, I didn't do that one. And one other one was, did you try it with 110 power instead of 12 volt? Try it on AC instead of DC. And I did, it made no difference. And in the manual itself, it says that whether you're using 110 or 12 volts, it's still only using 5 volts, 3 amps. Which brings me to the last little bit of this, and that is that little wink wink I gave as to why you shouldn't put it mounted permanently on the inside of your trailer. Because I discovered that if you get a little power pack like this, it actually works. You do not need a 12 volt battery. You do not need 110. You don't need a vehicle of any kind. All you need is 2 small antennas and the booster and a power pack, and you can use this outdoors. You can use it for a picnic. You can use it inside a tent, but let's not go there. If you're out in a tent and you're trying to enjoy nature, you should be enjoying nature. As a matter of fact, I've been out here yapping away and not enjoying this beautiful beach. So you know what? I think I'm done for today, and if there's any other further developments, I'm going to report them. But the next one is not going to be a video on boosters. It's going to be a video on camping. I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out my others as well. One thing's important for me right now is sunscreen.